Hi, I'm Pragnya Damirla. I'm a business analytics and data science intern at the Sparks Foundation. So, this is my first task with the Spark Foundation. So, the task that I'm going to talk about is an analysis on global terrorism dataset. So, the task that was given to us was that we had to perform EDA, exploratory data analysis, on this provided dataset. So before I get into what I've done, I'll explain you what the dataset is exactly about. So the dataset that was provided to us had columns like date, month, year, country, region, and latitude, longitude, and the type of attacks, gang names, motive behind it, weapon type, and number of kills, number of wounds, so on and so forth. So the task that we had to do is we had to do exploratory data analysis using Tableau or any other the exploratory tool. So I've picked Tableau. So the first field that I've done is right here in a second. This chart represents regions and years. So it is a blend of number of years and the casualties that have happened. So this chart shows us the trend of how global terrorism was increasing in these specific regions like Australian Sea, Central America, Central Asia, Eastern Europe, and all of these regions. So as we go through it, one thing is pretty common, or one thing is pretty evident about this is that the green line, which is growing drastically from the year 1972 to 2017. So we see here that in the mid eastern and mid northern regions, which are Iraq, Syria, and all of these unstable regions that we call in today's date, the terrorism has taken a big spike from the 2000s, and it has been consistently increasing, and in the year 2016 to 2017 the spike has gone too high. So the casualties are at least a 40k, sorry. So we see that, uh, I mean, with this chart we can say that this is one thing that is evident, and the other areas have been, the terrorist attacks have been, if you look at it, more or less consistent. There are ups and downs, so we can clearly say that recent times there's been a huge spike in the mid eastern area through this graph. So next chart. So this is a chart, this is a bar graph that shows what kind of weapons have been used in these attacks. So if you look at the chart, it clearly shows that firearms, explosives have been used maximum in all these attacks. This chart shows what are the type of attacks that have been chosen. For example, bombing and explosion, armed assault, assassination. We have few other like hostaging, hijacking, and all of these. So these circles, each circle represents one of these types of attacks, and that will be shown in my dashboard. That will be much more clear to you. So this graph shows three things. One, number of attacks that were being made on in which particular year. Second, number of kills. So the bars shows represent number of years, and the line represents the number of kills and number of attacks. So yeah, that will be again shown in my dashboard. So this map represents three things. One, number of events or number of attacks that have happened. Two, a number of kills, and number of people wounded. So the when I click on something like let's say Afghanistan, it shows Afghanistan. So this I have used, and this method is usually, it's a common method that will be used for mapping. So that will show it in my dashboard again. Okay, fire and explosives again. Yeah. So this shows highly affected regions, or highly, most the region where the terrorism activity is really high, and the number of losses that they have taken. So I've chosen a parameter which shows you top 3, top 5. So these are the top 4 or 5 countries are Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Nigeria. So sorry. So it is very clear that these, my initial graph, the first graph that was showing a spike in the mid eastern region, now when you see this bar graph, you'll clearly understand why, or why that spike was being. So Iraq is a mid eastern country, Afghanistan is a mid eastern country, Pakistan is also a mid eastern country. So it clearly shows. And next, coming to the dashboard. In my dashboard, you'll see all these graphs. So the first graph that I was talking about, that is my map. My map shows you everything. I mean every country. Second is the relationship between number of attacks and number of victims killed. Third one is attack type. Fourth one is weapon type, and the fifth one is target type. So target type as in private citizens, military, government. If there are other losses, businesses, whatever. So when we now the dashboard works like this. When I go to a country, firstly you see three things. This is called a tooltip. So tooltip shows you the name of the country, total attacks that were made on that particular country, number of people killed, and number of people wounded. So this basic information will be available when you just hover your mouse over a country. So for example, I'll show you something else as well. So this is China. So when you hover your mouse over China, you see the total terror attacks, number of people killed, and number of people wounded. So when I click on India, so you see that India has been facing lot of terror attacks, or Indian terror attacks have been started in the year 79, and there's a flat line till 82. So when you go from 82 to 95, there have been lot of attacks that were being faced by India, and the graph has been constant till 2007, and from 2007 there's been a huge spike till 2013, and the spike is going up and up and up till 16. And the data which I have is from 1970 to 20 2017. So for example, I'll show you some other country. Let's take Brazil. So when I pick Brazil, you see that Brazil also, more likely like India, has been there. There have been terror attacks even in 70s, but the spike has begun after the 75, when and in 81, and 81 has seen a worse time probably. Once you move again till the 1990s, in your 1990s there's again a huge spike, and now there's a very low terror attack in that particular region. So when you come down, or when you look at the type of attacks, assassinations have there are 67 assassinations, and armed and hostage taking have been maximum after assassination. So you'll also see the type of weapons that were being used there, and the count of I mean, when you see the number 113, 113 times when an attack was made, firearms were used, and 72 times explosives were used. 56 times they didn't know what kind of weapons or what were used in those attacks. 10 times melee was used. So that's how, that is the representation of this graph. And when you come to this target type shows about which class of the society was affected the most. and the number represents how many people have been, have faced some issue because of this event. So when you look at it in Brazil, the highest losses or the casualties have been faced by the business community, then by private citizen and policy by private citizens, then the government, then you see military, transportation, and police. So this the same. It will show the same with every other country. Let's click on Russia. When you click on Russia, you see the basic. You when you go through the tooltip, you get a broader understanding of how many losses have been happened and how many attacks have been happened and how many people were killed in this attack. So next, when you look at the attack type, you'll see armed assault, bombing, and explosion. These have been the highest in these areas. And when you look at weapons, it is a clear representation of both. It's not even a mismatch. It's a clear understanding that the explosives have been there's more than 1,000 explosives that have been used in this country for terror attacks. So yeah, and then when you look at the target types, police, government, and military, private citizens have again faced a lot of there have been a lot of casualties in this region. And when you look at the map, somewhere from late 90s, there's a lot of terror activity that's been happening in this area. So this is my representation of basic exploratory analysis on terrorism dataset. Hope it has given you a lot of insights. Thank you so much for giving me this beautiful opportunity, and thank you, Spark Foundation.